Hey, we're live. Thank you so much for joining me. As the title suggests, today we're going to actually paint together, but I do want to let some people in, so thank you so much for being here. Hey, Jill. Hey, Diane. Hey, Finn. How are you? How is everyone doing? Let me know. I hope you're doing well. Let me know you can hear me well. I'm going to test it out for a second, get the live stream open here. I was a good boy today and actually got ready properly in advance. I got prepared with everything I need because I need quite a few things to paint. And yeah, looking forward to it. We're gonna do two scenes, as you can see here. This is really interesting to me. One of the ways I paint sometimes, I just choose a scene, go for it, full-fledged painting, big size, and it just works. But sometimes I feel like just becoming a little familiar with it by doing smaller sketches or sketch paintings is a really good way to prepare. I'm going to talk about that in a few seconds because it's interesting. Hey, John, how are you? I'm doing super well. Hope you're doing well too. Hey, Messy Jesse. Hello there, Liron and everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Messy Jesse. Let me show you. I have two sketches, and in the video's description, you should be able to find a link to these and the reference photos if you want to paint along. So yeah, the way I like to prepare for paintings, it actually has to do with my recent reel and short. It's going to be out in a couple of on Saturday. Is with perception. So I don't feel like there's anything you can do to truly prepare for a painting and on a practical level, but just familiarizing yourself with the scene just mentally, like looking at it, seeing it, is a great way to prepare. So this is why plein air works so well, in my opinion, because you're way more familiar with it and you perceive more of the scene. If that makes sense. So it's not something you do, but it's something you are in a way. You absorb that information, if that makes sense. Hey, S. Corbett, how are you doing? Hey, Amy, how are you doing? I hope everyone's doing well. Let me know if you're working on something. Let me know if you're going to be painting during this live stream. And yeah, one thing I wanted to mention is I didn't even prepare the screen share. That's on me. I don't know if you saw this, but I am auctioning another painting. The auction will end in about 10 hours. I thought it would be a good kind of time frame. So let me just show you for a second. Should it be window capture? How will I do this? Oh, I can just do browser, right? And then I can just go with the URL. I want to show you. So I am auctioning a painting. This window capture. Let's just go with the window. No. A second. I show this. I'm so clumsy. But in any case, yeah, I'm auctioning a painting. You can check it out, URL. I think it should be in the description box. If it's not, I'm gonna post it here. But yeah, let me see. I'm gonna post it in the chat. Check it out. Feel free to. It's currently on $50, which I think if you get it for 60, which is the next bid, it's still a good buy. So yeah. A really good buy. It's the Alpine Cabin painting. Hey, by now, how are you doing? Hope everything is well with you. I don't want to show... Darn it. Let me remove the window capture. Acting all wonky. It would have been much easier if I would have been using the StreamYards. But in any case, yes, check it out. Link in the chat. It's going to end again in 10 hours. I will try, because a lot of people ask, I try to auction paintings on a regular basis. Maybe I'll just share an image of the painting. Work. I'm losing my thread. I have this. Never mind. Check out the link that I just shared. You'll find it there. We have enough people. I think we can get started with the painting. So we're going to paint two scenes. Hopefully we'll manage to do two, because it's going to be a rather quick process, to be honest. So it's going to be fun. And you did show... Yeah, I did show it, but the thing is, me see if I can show it properly. I just want to show the tab. I don't want to show the entire window. Not that I have anything important open, but... I just can never figure it out in OBS. I don't know why. Good morning, Laura. Here it's afternoon, 4 p.m. my time. Okay, let me just do this. I'm going to desk. No, let's do downloads. Yes, so I got it. This painting is the one I'm auctioning, and the link I just shared in the chat is how you can bid. It's an auction, so you basically set the price, which is the most fun thing in my opinion. It's really, really fun. So do check that out if you want an opportunity to own a painting of mine for a pretty good price, I think. But in any case, yeah, let us jump into the references. I'm going to start with these lily pads. Hey, Deep Krishan, how are you doing? Hey, Henny, hope you're doing well. Been a while since we corresponded. So I'm going to paint these lilies. I'm going to switch over to the table and make sure the audio is okay. Thank you so much, Raluca. Oh, one more thing I wanted to show before that is I will share towards the end of the live stream this painting I just posted on Instagram. There we go. Don't worry, I'll show it properly after the fact. So let us change angles, move on to the desk, and get into it. I'll just make sure the audio is set to my camera. I think the audio is not coming through for... So I was sure I'm super prepared. Turns out I wasn't. Give me 1 second. Fix it. Video input. Okay. It should work now. Let me just wait for a second. Okay, how is it now? Let's see. I'm gonna give it a second, figure out if it works. If it doesn't, I don't know what to do. Blah, 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 blah. Talk, 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 talk. Because it's showing it does work on my end. Okay, good, it works. Okay, it works. It works. Good. Sorry about that. I hate the... Yeah, I hate the way it... Oh, it's so annoying sometimes. But yeah, now it should work. Let me know if you can hear me properly. sounds like it's coming from the right place. I think it's good. Okay, so we'll get to painting. Thank you, Luis. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, everyone. Sorry about that. Yeah, in a roller coaster, definitely. Okay, so we'll get to it. Finally, you can see it. I'm gonna start with the lily pads here. Let's set this one aside. Maybe zoom in just a wee bit. Mute my Mac. I don't need to hear myself from the Mac. And yeah, so this is interesting. This is a very interesting reference photo, actually, because there's a lot of nuance in the values. It's actually quite confusing. So this is why it's important to do these preps, you know. Am I centered? Now it's good. Okay, now I'm centered. So yeah, so we have quite a lot of nuances. One of them is if you look at, for example, let's see here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Now I can see it's working. Thank you, Ron, again. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Luis. Thank you, John. Thank you, my name. Yeah. The video was prepared, was everything okay, but the audio didn't go through, but now it does. So we have these lily pads on the water that look really good, I think, but the problem is, so here the water is darker than the lily pads, and here the lily pads are darker than the water. That's a bit confusing. It's one of those things you just have to kind of deal with. And it's because of, I would say the water is gradually becoming darker as it gets closer to us, but also the lily pads hit the light in a different angle. So it's very interesting to see what's going on here. Now I will actually, feel free to do that too, like to look at a black and white version. But I just want to see for a second. I don't believe I included it in the link. But we'll see. Yeah, okay, I just wanted to get a good look at it. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so the lily pads are somewhat of a consistent value, maybe a very small change. The real thing here is the water changing their value. Let me test it out, actually. Yeah, the lily pads are quite similar. So, funny enough, this value is similar to this. Of course, the colors are different. You have the green versus the brown and all of that. But yeah. So, the way I would probably tackle it is I would start with a wash for the water, ignoring the shadows here. Up top, you see quite a lot of shadows. And sorry if you can't see the pencil too well. It's just, I know it's still super light, but hopefully it will make more sense as I paint. It's just, I don't want to go too dark with the pencil lines, though you can probably see them decently, I think. I think you should be able to see them decently. But yeah. So we'll get started. I'm gonna focus on the painting now. Forget about all the technical issues. I'm not gonna clean my palette this time, actually. I will work on it that way. Reason is, I just feel like I want that first go to be quite direct. Let me bring, do I need a board? I don't even need a board. Let's just go for it. I want this first attempt to be quite direct and kind of raw, based on intuition. So that's a nice green for the water. Only problem with this setup is I can't see your comments. So maybe I'll open up the stream on my iPhone so that I can actually see what you're writing. Got it. Okay. Good. Yes, I will save the stream on YouTube. It's going to stay there. Yes. Thank you, Escorbet. I can see that you can see the pencil lines. Yes. And no worries, Reloka, your English is great. It was very easy to understand everything you wrote. So now here there's gonna be shadow. This is interesting. There's gonna be shadow here, so I almost don't have to paint over it because there's gonna be a layer above it. But doing a first wash now can actually help me with mapping out where the lily pads are, because I'm not using any masking stuff here, I'm just painting. It can help me a lot with mapping out where the lily pads are, and in turn, for the next layers, it's going to really help me find my bearing for the shadows. So that's what I'm going to do. I just want to make sure I start really, really light and watery. So we'll do that. This is, by the way, extra space. What you see here, I should cut this off, but it's fine. So I'm painting around these supposed lily pads, and unless I work larger size, there isn't really much to, like, I'm not gonna go around every individual one, and I didn't even draw every individual one. The way I'm gonna do this is quite random, just placing them in. Now the closer I get, the more I'll actually paint around sketches that I put down, if that makes sense. See, the closer we get, the clearer and the more specific the drawing becomes. So I'm really improvising in terms of the lilies I paint around, the pads, rather, I paint around. Sometimes that may end up being too many highlights because you didn't draw them and you're so eager to paint around highlights. That can end up being quite a multitude of them, whereas you don't need them. Now, one more thing to have in mind, we can always come back with opaque paint and add pads, change things up, improve the composition. Nothing is set in stone, and you can correct pretty much everything. You really can. Okay, now as we move down, I'm actually gonna lighten it up because I want to. I'm almost gonna use clean water here because it does start quite light. And notice how using this very watery wash also allows me a lot of time to map out the shapes and not be too worried about the paint drying. That's another thing. You know, that's just the nature of watercolor. The more water, that's physics, I guess, or materials, I don't know, material science. Just the more water it is, the longer it's going to stay wet. So it's one of those things that can really help. You can't really go around it unless you're using stuff like glycerine to help the water stay wet for longer, which I have tried a few times. It works really well. So now, and one thing you can do is just grab the paper, change the angle to make sure the water flows better. You have more reaction time. And we're starting with almost clean water. It looks like there is some paint there, but it's gonna dry much lighter. It's gonna be barely noticeable. But what it does is help us again map those lilies. And as I move down, I'm gonna start dipping into the reservoir, slightly darker paint down below. But start very gradually. I'm gonna start gradually. You can do it however you want, really. This is quite a good scene for beginners too, I would say. It's not that difficult to get something out of it. I wouldn't say like you'll necessarily get something super good, but you will be able to get something out of it. And as we move closer, actually don't care much about the colors being exactly the same or even similar for that matter. I'm just looking to see the pattern of the scene so that I can better paint it once I work on it in a large size. So I'm quite rough around the edges, let's say, in how I execute the painting here. Is there a small pad here? I think there is. And now as we get to the darker colors, we're starting to be a little more challenged by the shapes and the flow. Now you can decide to finish this in multiple washes, so you can decide that this wash is going to be just lighter than the final one if you want to. The current balance I have, I think, leads to a good balance of flow and value as of this second. Colors I'm using are quite random, by the way. As soon as I'm finished with this wash, I'm gonna look at your comments. Sorry about it's just a bit hard to do both, so. And you can even imagine or mimic the cloud skies. Some of them are visible, and it comes to play in the form of darker and lighter areas. But if you push it too much, you're gonna start struggling with the flow, and that's something I want to avoid. So I'm gonna have to carve through these shapes real fast. And I may decide, by the way, based on this, it will inform my technique on the final piece, so I may decide to use masking fluid or just put tape on the painting for the larger version. I may decide sometimes to not work on a larger version once I'm done. Like, okay, it's not that interesting of a scene, I'm not that interested in it, and I'm just not gonna paint it. That can happen too. By the way, one more thing you can do is start lighter, like this, with a bit more flow, and then darken. You don't have to go as dark directly. Start light, and then come back with darker paint. And add that in, right? But the thing that's important about this little experiment is that I just become passively more familiar with the scene. I don't have to do anything really, I just have to passively experience painting it once. So this is what we've got, first wash. Quite basic. Now, let me... nothing like a relaxing first wash, I know, right? I'm gonna go back from the end to the top to see what you're saying. Henny, saw this one on your Insta. Oh my god, the water was too terribly good. Thank you. Wanted to ask as well, Liron, what's your best water brush for plein air? No, I don't like water brushes, so I tend not to use them. They're not for me, I think. It's funny, it almost looks like I went too dark, but once it dries, I think it'll be just perfect. Because you can see there's still some sheen. It's going to dry a little lighter. Yeah, I don't use water brushes. I don't like them. Been a while, I haven't painted for a while. Been trying other crafts like needle felting and crochet. Oh, that's fun. That's great. That'll all feed into your artistic self. Been the Visser. I'm not sure how to read this. May I know the type of the paper you're using? Yeah, this is Saunders Waterford paper. Usually I use either Saunders Waterford or Arches. Sometimes Bauholm too. I think it's good. Yeah, my name, I hope this approach is worth the expectation. Bazo, the reference pick is so interesting, makes me want to pick up the brushes as well. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Scorbet, what brush and size are you using? So I'm using the Skoda Barocco size 16. You can find it in my gear page, freewatercolor.com/gear. So yeah. Okay, good, we're caught up. Dan, Liron, your color palette is gorgeous, as per usual. Could you share the color palette in this video? Yes, definitely. So I'm using something like a New Gamboge Indian Yellow, together with either French Ultramarine for a more nuanced green, or a phthalo blue for a more shouty green, more artificial shouty green. Some of these pads are going to be done with this kind of a more artificial looking green. Whereas for the water, I wanted something a little more neutral. I went way too strong on the saturation of the water, by the way, so that's a lesson learned. And I did incorporate a bit of, if you were keen, you may have noticed I've included a bit of that warmish mix I've had from the previous painting. That just has a bit of Windsor red and the yellow, so almost like dipping into the warm side of things to neutralize some of the greens, which is something I will also do with this reflection. There's a building above and then a beautiful reflection underneath. One thing that's interesting is, now that I think about it, I actually feel like it was the right choice to make this green a little stronger. Yes, it will make these greens maybe less prominent, but it will also make this reflection, being more neutral green, more gray green, look more natural, because this is closer to us, this is farther, so it makes sense that this green is going to be stronger and more vibrant, whereas this green is going to be more muted, if that makes sense. Again, it's a bit of a challenge. The way I'm going to paint this is going to be really intuition based, because there's a lot going on there. I don't know how well you can see it in the reference photo, but if you open up the full version one, it's a reflection of a beautiful pagoda building, and there's a lot of red in it, so the red is a reflection that merges with the green of the water, creates beautiful grays and interesting patterns, just a lot of interesting patterns. So yeah. Yes, my name, I took this picture in, I believe it was in Hoi An. Yes, in Vietnam. I think it was Hoi An specifically. So yeah, very relaxing first wash, kind of getting us started. If you want to make this more relaxing, just use tons of water. Do a flat wash even of just very light, something like this. Just cover it flatly and concern yourself only with where you paint rather than what value or what color you paint. That would be a way, it will add, you got it Dan, it will add an additional step, but that step could very well be worth it. Make your life a whole lot easier. Now that I'm looking at it, I would consider, by the way, and this is why these preps are really nice, I would consider making this wash for the reflection, painting it upside down. Because the hard part is the top, and then the bottom is flatter, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So this is why this is a good one good result of doing these preps. Things become clearer. Now, just for fun, we can actually start painting some of these lily pads, because we're now killing time to get this fully dried. We can just paint. So I have my specialty May green here. One of the more beautiful greens I have. It's in the not Van Gogh palette. What palette is this? I don't even remember. Yeah, I don't remember what paint brand this is. It's not the Paul Rubens one either. But I have this really nice green here. You can see it on. I just dropped my water sprayer, which is important, so I'm not gonna let it escape. So you see this green? This is gonna help our lily pads have more prominence. So I'm just gonna go for it. It's gonna be fun. Let's just put those in using this nice little green. Now, one thing to remember, this should be lighter than the water. Now, I may end up darkening the water, probably. Some spots at least. So let's keep this one light for now. And one thing you'll notice is, and then I can do some wet and wet just to bring in more paint, but what you'll notice is that there are some yellows, even reds around it, but I'm just gonna keep it to a bit of yellow here and there. There we go, my very not clean wells. Something like that. Now it's okay to have a bit of a white gap, I'm not gonna obsess over it here. This is kind of a prep painting again, so whatever comes out of it, comes out of it. But just for fun, you can do a lot of variation in the color, it'll look great. One thing that will make it look better is we're gonna add shadows under these lilies. There are some shadows under them. Now for this one, I'm just gonna keep it probably the same green. It looks a little more artificial, the color itself, so you can even add a bit of a touch of phthalo blue, make it even more of that artificial color. One thing I may end up doing with the water is glazing over them with even neutral tint could work, because it will also get them a little more muted, just a touch. And it will be easier to do because I already know where I should paint, because I already mapped out all of these shadows. But you can actually tell, you know, from afar, this starts to look, I wouldn't say photorealistic, but it does start to look realistic. The realistic impression starts being created. If I zoom out a bit, you will notice it. See, it starts to read as something, if that makes sense. Starts to read as something that has a meaning to it, you know. I'll zoom out just a little bit. There we go. So yeah, this is one of those rare instances. I do use a different color, so something like a May green would work really well. It's a very strong and vibrant green. Raluca, first wash shows your talent. Clear lines and great control of the large brush. By the way, how big the paper is. Oh, thank you so much. And the paper is quite small, actually. So we're talking about, this is inches. Yes, other side is inches. So already 11, and that's including this little snippet that's gonna be cut off. 11 by 7, I guess. Yeah, something like that, 7.5 inches. Quite a small piece of paper. Would be much harder, require much more preparation. Had I painted this, you know, double the size or anything larger than this. This is why I do these preps a little smaller, actually. And you can already tell how. So, you know, one of the things that are easy to mess up are greens. The reason is it's not that green is a hard color to paint with, you know. Any color can be a challenge. The problem arises because there's a lot of greenery in a scene, and we're very finely attuned to the specifics of what green we're looking at. And when you look at a green and it's incorrect, meaning it's just not like the real green that's there, our minds can pretty much catch that fairly easily, just like you would easily catch mistakes in a portrait of a person. So that's why a lot of people mess up the greens. And you can see when you go with greens that are relatively loyal to the source, if you're aiming for more of a realistic impression, it does tend to work out really well if you are able to capture the accurate green in a way. Now, to me, it's not like I was super accurate in the water. It's a little more vibrant, a little stronger than what I even intended it to be. But it does work really well with these greens, and it reads almost in a satisfying, realistic manner already. So one thing to have in mind is that's where the color nuances do play a role, you know. You can ditch all of that, of course, and just paint black and white, which I love doing. You know, it's much easier to do sometimes. But if you are using colors, it is a great tool to tell a lot more of the story, if that makes sense. I'm gonna bring in a bit of ultramarine here, actually, because this feels a little quieter as a green, if that makes sense. The value of all of the water lilies is gonna be quite similar. Again, surprise, surprise, because it does look a little different, but that's just that same optical illusion. Some of them, the farther ones, some of them are actually darker, if I'm not mistaken. Let me test that out again. Yeah, so these are a little darker than these ones, but that's fine. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, happy the green explanation works. I think your intuitive style is fascinating to watch. Everything is second nature. Yeah, you know, it's almost like when you allow those things to come to you instead of chasing them, things work out. I don't know why exactly, but it's much easier for me sometimes to work that way than to work in a very calculated manner. In that calculation and in that thought, there's a lot of interference with the perception, what I talked about earlier. The cleaner the perception is, the easier it's going to be. It's just going to be easier to paint. And that's why I would say, you know, sometimes when you care less about something, it's used to be a truth, now it's just an overused cliche. When you care about something, sometimes you're more likely to mess it up. Some people will say when something's really important to you, that's when you get nervous and you mess up. Whereas when you don't care about something as much, it almost just works out better. I would say what happens there is just interference. Sometimes when one cares a lot about something, it comes in the form of interfering with the action itself. So, for example, you know, the reason you paint is because you want to paint. You don't want to plan or be accurate even. That's a huge one that I had recently. That's a huge insight. Even accuracy is, or the need to be accurate is a form of interference and basically a problem if you want to make art freely and bring your vision to life. Even the need to be accurate, which just flies against everything, you know, because everyone strives to be accurate, right? I would ask me a couple of months or years ago, that's what I would try and do. But even that's what I would tell you I'm doing. But if I really look back, a lot of my works that are the best were the ones where I let go of that need to be accurate, and it ended up being right, not accurate, being true, being truthful to my vision. I hope that makes sense. Even accuracy is an obstacle, honestly. That is true also for drawing in some aspects. Drawing is just more unidimensional in a way, because it's more objective. Okay, the line is incorrect. But even then, even with drawing, there's a lot of interpretation, a lot of how everything works together, that even in a somewhat inaccurate drawing can still look perfect, just because the way it was done was from that place of pure expression. Not for the sake of being pure and expressing things purely, but just creating for the sake of creation. That's what I think. Yeah, or Luca, definitely I can say centimeters. It's easier for me. I'm used to centimeters. So this one is 28 by 18 and a half centimeters. Actually, it's close to an A4 size paper. It's really close. A4 is like 29 by 21, something like that. So it's almost an A1. Escort, you're becoming more Zen, Liron. Yeah, it's just a natural kind of... Even Zen, if you start thinking about the word itself, right, it's a lot of spirituality, but I don't see what I'm saying as spiritual even. It's just very practical, and it's kind of the natural direction I moved in, because that practicality is the thing I was looking for in my art, to make it easier and more fun for me to create, you know. I have different with the proportions on the paper from the photo. Sometimes I start with a sketch in pencil and becomes smaller or bigger and goes out of paper. Any advice? Yeah, that's a good question. One of the things I would say, if it's just about accuracy of the drawing, a lot of it comes down to if you can start with the big elements first. So for example, figuring out where this shadow ends. So let's say it's a little above the halfway through, so that would be a halfway, excluding this section that I'm not painting on really, so a little above the halfway. You put a mark for that, right? Now where's that tip, where's that tower going? It's close to this edge and it's about a third, right? If you can, at the end of the day, drawing accurately is once again about perceiving what you see. If you're able to think it through and do the steps necessary to be accurate, you're going to be fine. What are the steps? Actually measuring, right? Actually, you can even take this and draw 1:1 if you want. Open up the photo 100% size on whatever monitor it is, or even print it. So let's say I printed a photo here, and I'm just measuring 4 from the left, 4 from the left. That's where I'm going to put a line in, right? If you really want to be accurate, no one really has to tell you how to do that. All you have to do is be accurate. Like, the action of being accurate is almost like the action of, you know, jumping. It's something that there's no additional information. If you really want to be accurate, measure, you know, compare, look at proportions. Sometimes it's an information gap. No one has told this to you before, you know, something like that. But usually, if you really want to be accurate, there are so many ways of just being accurate. I would say, again, measuring is the main one. You just measure the thing, make sure your measurement is the same as that measurement, and you're good. Now, if you put a line that doesn't look right, re-examine the proportions, recheck. Make sure, because usually if something's off to your eye, something is off. Same for values, same for colors. If something doesn't feel right, usually it isn't. Sometimes it's a matter of being too close to see the picture, but usually that's the thing. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, A4 is a good size, I think, to get started or do these experiments, you know. J-Boo, no worries, welcome aboard. Dan, Liron, Daniel Smith, Undersea Green and Green Appetite Genuine Gorgeous Greens. Yes, and they would actually fit this really well. The background green here looks a bit like the more earthy, mineral-y kind of green that you mentioned. Actually could make this process a little easier. Candy, I think you're intuitive, so you read that. Rollo cover read that. Okay, good, I'm caught up. So let's continue. I'm just gonna continue with the pads. So now we have more of a gray color for them, which is quite interesting. Sometimes I do like to open the image in Photoshop and just sample the color to see if I'm seeing it accurately. After a while it gets easier. Yeah, these are just gray. And it's funny because the gray looks purple almost in comparison. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. So let's get this small one that isn't gray. It's yellow-ish. Not yellow, I mean it's kind of an orange-ish. That's fine. I'm actually, let me not lazy about. I'm gonna clean up this section. I don't actually need to. I don't need to clean it up. I'm not gonna bow to. I'm not gonna cave. I'm just gonna mix the color I need over here. There we go. Looks quite accurate to me. Maybe a little more neutral, actually. So you see how I neutralize? I just bring in a bit of green. Green to neutralize the orange. It's just a fast way to do it. Still doesn't feel right. What am I missing here? Let's try to go a little more yellow. Sometimes it's just, you know, you mix and nothing looks like the thing you're looking at. It's a good one. What is that color? Is it just some kind of an orangey muted color? I think it is. I think it is, so this should be good. So I'm gonna place that color in. Yeah, that looks fine. And then, as soon as I'm done with that, see, even my brushwork isn't that graceful here. I'm just kind of going for it. And then I'm gonna use a neutral tint to get all the rest of the gray lilies in place. These are just gray, believe it or not. There we go. So these are essentially painted together. So a bit less of an edge. The edge will be defined by a shadow that I will add later on. And off we go. A bit more of that neutral tint. Yeah, it has a bit of warmth to it, but that's fine. And we're just gonna start mapping out these grays. Now, what's gonna happen is, and that's the interesting phenomenon here, at some point, these will start looking darker than the water. Because the water shifts from light to dark. That's gonna be a fun little effect. Yep. Yeah, that's good. That's a good neutral. The neutral tint. It actually works well here. Here's another one. Now, honestly, if I wouldn't film this, I would move the palette and do this. Be a little more accurate. But I don't know how entertaining it is, just keep seeing my hair in the camera. But yeah. And gonna continue. Now you see here, it's gonna start appearing darker than the water. And that's perfectly fine. That is what we're looking for. That's where the impression reverses. I think, looking at the time, we'll do another one, the Venice scene, but we'll just go a little faster with that. That's what I think we'll do. Because I do want to get another one. This is not a lily pad, this is actually a shadow, reflection, sorry. And you see how I'm gonna add a bit of green to that gray. I don't know why it feels right. The one on the left, which I weighted with, also has a bit of green in it. This one, if I'm not mistaken. Could be orange though. Sometimes I confuse the two, believe it or not. And only once I put them on paper I realized whether it's one or the other. And sorry, I'm gonna look at some of your, again, messages in a second. Just want to make sure I get this right. There we go. If you really want to, you know, you can lift the excess paint here. Where the water is, you can make corrections if you see fit. And let us continue with these other pads. Have quite a lot of interesting nuances around them that once we start putting in the reflection, you're gonna see. It's gonna look really, really good. Now I don't want to go too dark here. I want to make sure, because these pads start to face the light. They're similar value, but not the exact same one. So let me confirm that. Yeah, these are just a touch lighter. Whatever I do, I don't want to go darker. That's for sure. So I'm just gonna be a little careful there with the values. Now these farther ones you can just get with one swipe of the brush. That's the advantage of being accustomed to your brush and having a decent brush. You can really just with small minimal swipes of it get the shape you want in, just based on technique. You don't need to fill in the lines and all of that. You just put 1, 2, 3, boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Now this still looks weird because I haven't added in the reflection. Once I add a reflection, it's gonna make much more sense. Which tells me, by the way, I could have covered the whole thing with the green of the water and just darken it with another layer once done. By the way, lesson learned for this scene. So it's a good thing I'm doing this prep. One more thing, I get a feeling this is going to be a good painting larger. So I'm quite looking forward to trying to paint it. So yeah. Now I went a little lighter for these farther ones. Just gonna gently paint them in real fast. Done. I think we're done with placing the lily pads. Once I don't want to go too dark because that will force me to go dark with the reflections too. Okay, that's one thing to understand. Now, do you remember the realistic boat that I painted a while back? It was also portrait oriented, very realistic boats. In fact, you can see them on my wall behind the cardboard. So that was done with a process that I can use the same process for this section here with all of the nuances of the reflections. I won't because this is a faster example, but you will get to see some cool effects hopefully. In a second, now let me go over some of your chat messages. Some of the water lilies, actually I can see them here. Let me open up the browser window. Yeah. Marjorie, some of the water lilies, especially the newer leaves, had a lot of dark purple. with hints of maroon in them. I found that anything I want high gloss, so you'd use that kind of a color. That makes sense to me. You know, this also looks a little more purple, but these are actually quite gray. I sampled the color. It looks very purple. You know why, if you know a bit of color theory, because there's so much green here. When you see a gray, all you see is the most extreme version of a non-green. So the scale goes from green to purple on almost opposite sides of the scale, almost. It's actually red, but yeah, so what you see there is this is the most green. You can see my hands. This is the most green, this is the most purple, the middle is a gray. But as soon as you put a gray in, it's much closer to the purple side of the scale, so it makes you think, oh, that's a purple. But this in particular is actually a gray. I know you're not commenting necessarily on this one, but yeah. And by the way, Marjorie, I will do the second process with the palette you sent me, I think, because I need a specific blue that's there that I don't have here, by the way, so thank you so much for that. So Jenny, do you think in your first wash, sky blue in the middle of the painting would show up reflection of the sky? Yeah, so somewhere around here. The fact is the color you're seeing there is closer to a green, but a neutral one. Could be a blue-green, a bluish green. You could change it and have it still look good if you know how to do that. Not know like knowledge, if you have a good kind of plan in mind, so you know what to do. It could work. It could definitely work, yes. Oh, cool, you had a large koi pond. I love koi ponds. We had one hotel in Vietnam where there was a koi pond. It was so beautiful. So yeah, you could go with the blue. The water was a bit, muddy, so that makes the sky reflection also look a little green, but yeah. Are you planning to do gouache in the near future? If so, what is it you like in gouache? You don't seem to like oils or acrylics. Gouache principles are the same. Yeah, so my thoughts with gouache, and the only reason why I am curious to try it out, because I don't like oils and acrylics from what I tried. The only thing is gouache can be watered down, so what I'm thinking is almost using it more like watercolor, but not being afraid to go into more opaque as well, but just use it opaquely wherever I want. So essentially a more efficient opaque paint. But I don't know, maybe I'll try it and love it and end up using it differently. I'm not sure, really, Janzard, I love your haircut, no problem showing it. Yeah, thank you so much. I just got it yesterday. I literally asked, do a Thomas Shelby, and yeah, that's pretty close. I chickened out the last minute and didn't go for a 0 here, the length, just pure blade, but I should have. Maybe I will still. But yeah, I wanted the Thomas Shelby. I'm still going through Peaky Blinders. I'm in season 5, maybe episode 1 or 2, something like that. Deep Christian Kukreti, I suggest for improving accuracy that one should make more art of the same subject and be brutally honest with self-critics and learn everything, which helps. Yeah, so that's if your goal is accuracy, but sometimes I find that goal becomes that's a means, and then it ends up being a goal in and of itself, and very few people actually care about that in particular. They just want to make art they enjoy and they love, and they think is good art, that looks good. Things don't have to be accurate to look good. They can be 50% accurate and still look really good. It's a question of what you are interested in. But yeah, if you are interested in that, trying to recreate something perfectly, multiple times even, can be a means to achieve that. Thank you, Sujan. By the way, the first wash almost finished the painting. Funny. Well, okay, we'll take your advice and use the ruler. Yeah, definitely. Feel free to. Laura, to help with accuracy, I sometimes put 3D grid lines on the... Okay, maybe you refer to that. On the taper. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so to put grid lines on the tape itself. Interesting. Yeah, that's almost like drawing a grid, which I sometimes do for very large pieces. Let's see if anything interesting comes up. Hey Hillel, thank you so much. Says congrats on the new haircut. Oops, didn't want that to happen. Okay, perfect. We're caught up. Okay, let's continue. So for the reflection, as promised, I'm gonna go whoop, like that. Now I do want to make sure this is dry. Yeah, it feels dry enough. And I'm gonna reverse, upside down, flip my reference photo as well. So check this out. This is gonna be fun. I can also do it here. Let me help you out. Rotate it here as well. Give me a second. Good. I basically discovered the easier way to rotate the reference photo is to rotate the original rather than do it in OBS. That's what happened just now. So, I'm gonna start. The one thing I want to pay attention to is, notice, especially for this section right here, I want to be accurate because it's isolated. I want it to be dark enough also to be darker than the lilies, but not too dark. So then this is a great way to test it out because it's a smaller area. Now the green I'm gonna do now is gonna be probably too green. So I will need to mute it down. Let's try, I'm curious to see what this sap green will produce. That's actually quite close. So I'm gonna use convenience mixture here. Just a sap. Good old sap green, make my life a lot easier. This is so close enough that I'll just use that. This is gonna be a perfect example of how 70% accurate even is pretty good. Now I can add a bit of neutral tint to neutralize it a bit more. And we will go with that. So let's see. Now there are ripples. I'm actually quite zoomed in on my photo because I want to get this right. And this is a small area, so I have the privilege of going super slow. And if you really pay attention, here it touches the lily underneath, and here there's a gap between the lily and the thing, so it goes like that. And then we have some other ripples here, and this goes towards this direction, and it does not touch it here. So that would be a first step, right? We're going slow. Let me put this here so I can see your chat. This is gonna be the strangest stage of them all. Now we can even start putting in the shadows under the lilies, and these go in a pattern of almost zigzag. The reason why, can you tell? If you've been around lily pads, you can probably tell. Their edges are a little wavy, and that actually makes the effect of the shadows looking wavy too. I'm taking the risk now because I may want to darken the water later on, but I'm just going for it now and we'll see. Worst case, I'll darken the water over these shadows and everything, and it's still gonna work. Shadow here is flat because that's the cut part of the lily pad. I'm not sure what you call that. But you see all of these patterns, they look a little strange right now, but once you see them in their final shape, it will make a lot of sense, trust me. Yeah, so I'm gonna stop for now with this section. Let's continue here. Get this jagged shadow, straight line, jagged shadow. There is these nice little jagged shadows in between. And at this point, I'm not seeing how accurate I am. Okay, I'm not seeing that yet. That is fine. You paint what you see. Then once you flip it upside down, it may make sense, it may not make sense. To me, it makes sense. Once you see it in the grand context of everything, it will make perfect sense. And I think I'll leave the water as is, just, you know, I do want to be able to paint another one, but it does seem like we may not be able to, depending on how absorbed I'll end up being in this process in particular. So we have a shadow here. And here we're starting to seriously make this shadow larger. So I'm gonna need more paint and a lot of belief. Let's see what we can get away with here. So this goes here. I do need this to be darker than the lilies themselves. That's the thing. That's the so-called issue here. Because I need this to read as a reflection that's darker than them. There we go. And then here we have these, and look at what happens here. I'm actually gonna let's go with the shapes I'm seeing. So I'm gonna just follow the shapes here. There's a green shape, and then there's a more neutral blue shape, believe it or not. And then there's a warm shape too. So let me dip into my warmth for a second here. Like, this tower is warm, and I'm gonna forget about flow for a few seconds, because if I now focus on making sure everything flows, I'm gonna lose it. There's no way I can get that to happen. So these are the types of compromises one makes in the painting process. Now, it doesn't have to be a compromise, by the way. This is just a way to paint more effectively. This goes a little greener. I do want it to be quite similar to what I'm seeing, which is why I'm taking my time. Then we have this tower here. I would have taken my time much more had this been a larger, more detailed painting. And this is where we get to this stage. Now I am going to switch over to a gray blue for this section that looks a little gray blue, and hopefully it will end up reading accurately. So we'll do that. Again, I'm dropping the idea of having a smooth flowy wash here, because if I focus on that, I just will it just won't happen, and that is okay. Now a little bit of warmth underneath here. So I'm almost painting like almost like in oils or acrylics. You know, I'm mixing and then placing in a color. Now we'll go back to the green. We have a large green area here, and now I'm just gonna skip the pads without thinking about where there's a white gap around and where there's not, because if I do start thinking about that, once again, I have no shot. So green, neutral tint, and we'll just go for it. Try and get rid of some of these annoying light gaps. Using a way too big of a brush, in theory, for this. The reason I'm using it is, if I don't, I'm screwed, pretty much. Now here we have a section that will make our lives a lot easier. And that's because that's one, that's two, yeah. Over here, this is dark, but everything else is light. Let me show you. Once we get there, you'll see. But you see, there's no way around that kind of a wash. You just paint it. You just paint it and hope for the best, really. So, luckily for me, see what happens here? There's the reflection goes lighter there. Now, I've done this enough times to know that I'm probably okay. I'm doing okay, even though I don't see it yet, because it's upside down. There's a lot of different weird variables involved. I know my instinct tells me, you know what, it's pretty close. I may be wrong. Once we'll turn this upside down, we'll discover. But I don't know. I feel like we're okay. We'll see now. If anything, I may go a little too dark here without noticing and realizing, but we'll see. I can rotate it a bit to make it easier to paint around all of these lilies. I'm torturing myself here. There we go. And it goes, seems to go all the way down. It's just a little wavy, and that's something I forgot. There we go. Good, so now, if I turn this upside down, it should begin to work, you see? Now, I stopped the wash in the middle, and that is fine. Let's continue it, and it's gonna tell a fuller story. So what am I seeing here? I see a bit of that neutral blue. I'm gonna have to move the phone for a second. Sorry, I don't see any of what you're saying right now. My apologies. So yeah, a bit of that neutral bluish section there. I'm seeing quite a bit of that color. So one good trick I can tell you, if you see a color repeating many places, you can just place it in one go. Yeah, that is pretty accurate. So, gonna be right here. May have to be a little darker though, we'll see. That's kind of a loose color I'm seeing there, then it goes a little lighter. I see it also here. There's quite a bit of gray around these. I'm somewhat micromanaging myself right now where I shouldn't, but that's fine. I just want to see where this kind of leads me. There's a bit of that blue again. I would probably lift a bit of this blue. There we go. Go back to this green, close up these little corners here. Yeah. Now, same muted blue is really present. So there's a gap, and here it starts. So we have this weird little thing, a little more on the blue side actually. There we go. Now, like, am I looking at the correct pedal or not? It looks like I may be, but let's see here. Then this goes up here. One thing you could do is just paint the whole thing with one color, save yourself some trouble. I am trying to kind of experiment and see if I can capture the nuances of color too. Not easy. It's not easy. But let's see. So there's a bit of red there. Like this. Now I'm gonna improvise now. I feel like improvising. So that's gonna be green. Left side, I'm just gonna do this as green actually. So green, green, green. Switch over to a larger brush because I need a lot of paint here. A little more neutral, a little more of that. I don't know what these marks are, by the way. I have no idea. You know, this them from time to time. It's the ghost of my palette. Yeah. There we go. There's a bit of this here. Let's just try and visualize. I didn't even put some of the lilies here, but that's fine. Let's see if I can almost wing the overall pattern and have it read as something. I really want to get this one done and move on to the second one. I also read some of your messages because I'm totally not there. There we go. Okay. And remember, one more thing again, you can definitely get a lot of the highlights lost, the shapes that are inaccurate, and get a lot of them back just by using opaque paint. So again, nothing is really lost. It's not the end of the world. If something doesn't feel right, that's okay. I'm gonna add a bit of warmth here just because I feel like it. I feel like you can do a lot of interesting plays here. with the colors within the this is the light, so I'm gonna keep that light. Ooh, there's a bit of warmth here that's quite interesting, so let's see. Here and here too, it's a bit wavy, and then it goes in a straight line. Wavy here, maybe here, and almost done. Just gonna close off a few gaps. It's gonna be a mess because I went really fast and really literal with the colors and the variations there. That's fine, and we're gonna close this gap off here. The key thing is that we have a reflection or a, you know, big shadow in the water compared to everything that goes above. That's the main thing you want to show here. There's a bit of warmth too, so I'm gonna include that. Just go like this with a bit of water, flip it over, and that makes sense to me. Now ignore this part because it's not supposed to be here even. I'm gonna just cut it off. There we go. That's what Van Gogh said. I'm just gonna cut it. There we go. And there you have it. It's a bit messy, but it shows the heart of this subject matter. And let me flip over the photo here. There we go. And you can leave the more accurate, more, you know, well thought out version to a larger piece. But as long as this reads as, and by the way, once I flip it upside down, I can see, oh, this isn't dark enough, and that's why it reads a little strange. Like this part, everything here should be darker. So if I just go back with a bit of this neutral blue right around here and darken it like so, and here too, by the way, I don't even care that it's still a bit wet, and here as well, here too, here as well. This should be blue, darker blue. This should be kind of a neutral thing, and you can slowly push it to look more like the thing, right? And you can come back now. Let me give you a cool example. Let's say you didn't even paint the lilies here. You can go with something like this beautiful green, pale green by Shinhan PWC. Mix it up here with a bit of other paints, and you can get back your occasional green lily pad just by, you know, painting it over, just as an example, right? I'm not gonna do that obviously now for like a full-scale thing, but you see some of these lighter green lilies laying around there. So that's one way you can bring back so many of these interesting highlights very easily. You don't have to use just transparent watercolors and just one type of process and just work light to dark and just do this and just do that. None of that matters. By the way, I completely ignored this thing here. I don't even know, is that a kind of a lotus leaf thing? I don't know. But we shall add it in and leave the center a little lighter to convey. That's the part that pops out of the water, so it's a little lighter, and boom, we're done. Yeah, I think this one is almost done. The one thing, yeah, I almost called it done, but the one thing that's left, truly the last thing, is the shadows under the other pads. So if I were to use the same muted sap green and black, I'll do it real fast. You'll get, you know, these kinds of shadows. Again, jagged, diagonal shadows that look fantastic and make it read like something on the surface of the water, right? You can already tell. Look at this here. This is very interesting. There's a shadow and a highlight next to it. Shadow, and just out of laziness sake, a highlight above it, like so. You see this? Very gentle. But these small effects all accumulate and end up looking like something. And then of course we have to justify the shadow underneath here. Here this leaf is folded almost up, so we have a larger piece of shadow, goes in here. See these little folds? All of this, and you can start adding nuance to the actual lilies if you want to. So for example, some of them, okay, this waviness, right? Let's go with a bit of a green here, just show you really fast. Yeah, so where it goes up, there's a shadow next to it, indicating the waviness of the leaf, right? So I'm gonna do this. Maybe blend out the edge a bit. Find it very challenging for some reason. I think there's a bit of opaque paint in it, but hopefully that makes sense, right? You get to see the waviness. That's the point of showing you this. And if you go over all of these different pads, just add all of these shadows and highlights. I am definitely gonna paint this large. I definitely will do this. Because it looks so fun, and there's a bit of a thing here. Completely forgot about that. Something coming out of the water and its reflection. Here as well. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty much done. I like it a lot. It's an interesting process. Hopefully you enjoyed it. A lot of things can be fixed, improved. You know, I'll probably scan this, see it black and white, figure out what's off. Maybe some of the water here actually does need some darkening. But overall, a very enjoyable process, and I love how this area looks wet. It actually appears wet, and I really like that kind of a thing. Yeah, we'll do another one, but we'll do it fast. Let me go over your comments real fast. Amy, so cool, thank you. Marjorie, that's lots of leaves. This was a blossom past its prime. Bug, I like hearing your thought process, especially you're okay with going to a more oil-like application as opposed to worrying about the flow indeed. Heather, wow, it looks great. Thank you so much. Yes, the mission gold colors are beautiful. Thank you, Diane. They are. I mean, not thank you, I'm not making them, but yeah. Yeah, let's do another one. I can scan this one later, just show you a better kind of picture. Though I think it's quite clear. Let's do this. Now, give me a second to get my palette here, the other palette. It was right here all along, right next to me. There we go. Because it has this specific blue I'm after. Okay, so this is gonna be mayhem. Let me switch the photo here as well. Bye-bye, lily pads. Hey, Venice. Quite a lot going on here in this photo. We'll go real fast. It just feels so ridiculous to do another one after this process. But let's do it for fun. For fun, I will actually, you know what I'll do? I'll do something interesting. I will paint it alla prima, if I can. Let me give it a go. I may end up not talking as much, because that's just the nature of the alla prima beast. I do want you to see both my palettes, so let's move this here, and this here. It's okay. Something like that. Okay, Marjorie, it's game time. I need to find the blue that I'm after, because this scene does have a very specific blue feel to it. Reawaken the paint. There we go. So this one's a bit opaque. This one maybe. Oh, I actually have the names here. Was it the cerulean that I like? Don't really remember. No. This one is the ultramarine. Maybe it was a cobalt. I'll just need to play around with them to figure it out. Yeah, cobalt. Thank you. Cobalt blue. Poisonous cobalt. And we'll get to it. we will just get to it. The only disadvantage of cobalt is just how, aside from it being quite toxic, right? It's a little harder to reawaken. That's the one thing. I'm gonna add a bit of phthalo to that. Feels like if I want to make it richer, stronger, maybe I'll even add a bit of what do you call that one? Verditor blue. But this is alla prima. It's just a mess. Expect a mess from here going forward. Just want to get the sky out of the way. Yeah, that's a nice blue. Good. Now we need that beautiful neutral. Look at that, I'm not even cleaning my palette. Let's add some yellow. Ooh, it's green now. Let's add some red. Ooh, it's like a dead brown. Let's add some more yellow and some more red. What did we get? A nice little warm. How does that add up? It doesn't, actually. I need a bit of a different color here. Almost feels like it has more red in it, to be honest. Let's just give it a go. Yeah, that will work, I think. Now, this is one of these paintings where it might end up being a waste of my time, honestly. I don't know why these scenes where there's a strong blue and strong warms, lately I don't really find them successful, to me at least. I don't know why they don't work out that well for me, but we'll see. You know, I'm not gonna decide that it's not gonna work. I think it still has a chance. Let's feed it with some water. Feels like it should look kind of dead and muted in some spots. There we go. And here it almost gets a little grayer, interesting enough. Yep, that looks right. So I'm gonna work my way around the windows. Let's see what we can do here. There's this beautiful kind of yellow spill almost under the windows, so let's get that in there. Good, now here's where the cast shadow starts to form. I'm gonna go with a bit of purple to neutralize the yellows, and a bit of blue too, I see there, and it goes around here. So this is the fun part and the powerful part about painting things directly. It's just there's a lot of spontaneity and freedom to that. I'll need a bit more of a bluer color here. There we go. So this is kind of like a gray blue almost. I can actually probably add this weird opaque paint to it to make it a little more neutral. But yeah, the reason I'm even doing this is to get this beautiful shadow down here. So funny enough, this does start to look, I don't know if similar, but I mean, it reminds you of that, right? And this goes all the way down to the bottom. Carbazole Violet, French Ultramarine, and a bit of that warmth from earlier. Everything is organic. The paints are very organic. Everything is a mix of everything. This is how I like to paint. Now, on the right side, we still have a bit more of warmth to get through. It's more muted though, like this. There we go. Let's do something fun here. fun, weird, I don't know. I'm gonna use my John Brilliant opaque watercolor to bring out some highlights right now. Well, some parts are still wet, some parts are not, I don't know. Check this out. If you truly want to paint alla prima, you will let nothing stop you from doing that. Even making something lighter, like I'm doing here. Because why not, you know? What's lighter here? This thing? This entire side of this architectural detail. Good. Yeah, I'm gonna look at some of your messages in a second. Again, my apologies. Look at this beautiful diagonal line. Some of these windows have some highlights on them. Why not? And I can add the more, you know, specific ones later on. For now, this is just kind of a quick thing. Some of them are not warm, but rather just pure white. Designer's gouache could help us with that. Let's close this for now. And look at the window. I'm gonna take some time to work on this window because I love the way it looks. So, red is pretty dominant here. Sometimes the challenge is looking for a place to rest your finger. So you see this beautiful, beautiful red. Same for this window here. But again, this is alla prima. We're not worried about silly things like, you know, letting the paint dry in some spots before continuing, and we don't need any of that. We're just placing the colors in. See? Just like so. Gonna make it a little green, right? Some green windows there. Let's see if this is even close to it. Looks close, so why not use that? Some of the dark greens. Now it's a matter of, honestly, how much patience you have to go over the details again and again and again until you're satisfied. That's what it's gonna be. How far can you push it to look like the thing in your vision? I feel quite patient, actually, so we'll just do it. This goes here. This is complete shrouded in complete darkness down below. Actually close to the edge here too. And there's something very liberating about painting this way, see? You get an immediate feedback loop of what it looks like. Is it accurate? Is it, what am I missing here, right? Now I want to get a bit more flow for this cast shadow that's really beautiful on the right. It goes into this sharp little shape that, by the way, has some smooth edges. If I can smoothen these out, don't need to highlight here. Here we have this beautiful red detail. Alla prima. Everything alla prima. And then its cast shadow. Looks really cool too. Just goes boom like this. Now here, we do have a gentle greenish color that should be quite light, not dark. So I'm going to use a thin glaze here too, but look at the middle section, right? That's dark. And I'll probably take a break in a second just to assess the situation. Now, one thing that really helps me is I have some experience in mixing colors, so I know what I'm mixing pretty much. Let me go ahead and I want this to be blue. Can't really hesitate here. I really want to get this punchy contrast now. I don't want to get it later on. So let's pre-wet this and just start pouring in the darker paint. I really want this contrast to already show. And it makes sense that it disappeared because that's, you know, just the nature of the medium. Looks strong, then dries light. And after this section, I'll take a break. These small white gaps here drive me crazy because my paints are relatively dry. That happens. Can I get some wet and wet dark action down below? Yes, I can. So again, I'm looking at this very painterly, very very just squinting my eyes and looking for those, you know, details that still are visible when my eyes are half closed. So, you know, if you're gonna paint alla prima, don't kid yourself. Actually go for it, you know. Don't pretend. It's okay to paint alla prima. And we'll get this beautiful bridge here. Actually, let me switch to a smaller brush. It's gonna make it a lot easier. All the lines I had there, I'm not seeing any of them anymore. And that's fine. That's the drain pipe here. And let's get some opaque paint here. I had it left over on the palette from a previous process. See here, like that. Get some of these details in. Let's take a break. Let's let this dry fully, and then we will continue. Hopefully that makes sense what happened so far. I'm gonna zoom out a bit. See, it's a nice, well-lit building. We went for it. That's how you go for it. On a scale of 1 to 10, Henny asks, how finished is this in your opinion? So do you refer to this one? This one is like 7 out of 10, maybe 8 even. This one, if you're curious, is about 50 to 60%, I think. Bazo, those are weird-sized pens. What are they? Yeah, they'll be. Let's see what Marjorie says. The paints are from the Pure Pigment line. Yeah, cool. It actually says it. I think I saw. Oh no, just Mission Gold. These pens, I don't know what it is. I really don't, but I believe that's something you made yourself, right? Super grateful for that. This is a great palette. The Inker, after a long time. Are you here again? After a long time. Thank you for being here. Salty Little Sloth. Wow, I got a live video. Love your work. Thank you. Bazo, alla prima indeed looks like a proper mess. It's always fun though. John, good morning. How much did I miss? You missed quite a bit, but that's okay. It's already looking great there, and thank you so much, Escorbet. Yeah, you know, it's funny, sometimes when you just go for it, it ends up looking quite similar, especially in terms of the colors. I think they work well. Should have maybe gone with a more ultramarine here, but who cares? I mean, that's fine. In the next wash, which I'm impatient, so it's gonna happen now, just this instant, I'm going to establish more of the shadows that I lost because it was still wet, and generally have a good time. So let's see if I can mix that kind of a neutral blue for these shadows. It's almost a gray. That works, just lighter. And I'm just gonna place those in. So we have these, you know what, I think this needs a bit more drying. Let me use the hair dryer just for a second. Okay, just for a second. Okay, we're good. So let's make sure you can hear me. As soon as I'll hear my voice through the phone, I'll know for sure. So now this should be pretty much fully dry, and I'll start placing in these lovely shadows. So first we have this thing, comes from the top here, diagonally. Okay, we're good. Good, you can hear me. And then look at what happens. It goes down like this, all the way based on the shape of the building. And you see how working with the brush with its side really helps get that effect. And there we go. And it has some of these beautiful shapes accompanying it. So we have a shadow from here that travels to the right, travels over the drain pipe, connects to this shadow, boom, like that. We have this kind of random shape. We have a shadow underneath here with long stretching shadows here. All of these small details. This is a beautiful shadow I really, really like. And let's drop this shadow here, bit of a shadow here, a bit of a shadow on the windows themselves, like so. And you see how it starts to come to life, slowly but surely. Now, the better you are, the more you'll be able to get these things in the first go. But it's not that easy for me still. Now, this is one of the most beautiful shadows here. All of the laundry thing flying around. And that's going to connect fully to this side. Add a bit more of these two blues. There we go. So we have a window here that casts... did I mess up? Yeah, I messed it up. So this is the dark window. This is a window that casts a shadow here to the right. And then we have this thing here. We have this little detail here. Now we're gonna warm it up and get this nice little shadow under the fake roof. I don't know what you'd call that thing. This goes around the building. And you see all of these little additions will all end up combining, there we go, into something that hopefully makes sense, you know. Can I get rid of this red? Thank you. More blue-gray for these shadows right here. Actually, the more patient you are to draw all of these details, again, the better the result's going to be. I feel a little impatient, I'm not going to lie. I'm really running through this process. I don't even know why, it's fun. I don't know why I'm impatient. We have a window here. Actually, let's not fear the darks. I'm going to place the darks directly in where they belong on the paper. This is fully dark, this is fully dark. Again, the shape could be more defined, but who cares? It's just a fun little sketch. There should be another window here, but I didn't leave enough room for that. That's my bad. And we'll get some of these beautiful green windows. There we go. Green, green. There's a laundry thing here, some clothes, some warm, some cool. I know the chat may obstruct this a bit. That's fine. Let's do this kind of a thing here. We have this nice yellow shirt going over here. Yes. Now I want to show you something fun. If I take my designer's gouache, look at how much depth I can add by adding the highlights. It's not a heat gun, Escorbet. It's actually a hair dryer. It goes. It's really bad. So you don't want me to leave the audio on. Trust me. Not for this one. A bit of a highlight here, like that. I'm just gonna reinforce some of these using a mix of the color and some more water. But the main thing I wanted to show you is look how cool this could look. Just adding the reason for this shadow. Why do we have a shadow here? Well, because we have the drain pipe, right? And I'm just using that gouache as is. Now, why do we, what happens here at the side of this window? Look at that. That's an important highlight because it tells the story where light comes from. This should be light, like so. Let's do, here, we have some minor highlights in red on these windows. Maybe it should be a little lighter actually. Around here, see these? All of these small details together bring out, we have this thing here, the rope. We have a bunch of details here, but just to show you the general way how I would paint something like this, completely alla prima, completely ignoring almost any rules of how to paint, you know. Just looking, painting, looking, painting. What I'm seeing, translating it to paper. Let's finish this off with one more final detail. Palette's a mess too by now. Warm, dark. Let's get this wall here that's kind of, it's not as exposed to the light. There we go. Like so. And I don't know, dare I say we're pretty much done. I mean, there's more to be done. Maybe I'll look at this one tomorrow and just go for it and add some more details. But for now, I'm happy with the goal it achieves, which is showing you a very spontaneous, direct painting process, if that makes sense. I find these paintings to be amazing, pretty, very fun to look at, sometimes even more than regular paintings. I can add a bit of extra detail here to the laundry thing, just adding a few highlights on the clothes that I see there. We have also the hangers, like so. Do I see anything like this is interesting, right? This little line there, that's an interesting looking line. Look at my hand is full of opaque paint. Basically, the one thing with opaque paint is gonna get your hands dirty. Here we have all of these small, you know, I don't even know what to call these, but there they are. Why not show them, right? Look at that. I like this one quite a bit. I'm gonna go back there. We'll test the audio to make sure it's not weird. I may scan these and show you a proper version, or just we'll look at them straight on. So give me a second here to get my bearing. I think you should be hearing me. You should be able to hear me now. So let me test it out. You can confirm, and then I will confirm. So let's. I think the audio goes through. Second. And then I can just. Yeah, okay. Feels a little low though, maybe because I'm. Okay, yeah, this is the new audio level now, so you'll forgive me if it's a little weaker. But there we go. This one and this one. Let me scan them. This needs to dry a bit before I scan. Let's start with the first one. Maybe, you know what? Tell me if this is better. Okay, yeah, it does not work. The other audio doesn't work. I don't know why. Sorry about that. Oh, wait. Maybe. I don't know why that is. I'll stick to the mic here. I'll stay with the mic. Yep, we'll stick to the mic here. And let me bring up the scan. And sorry about all the technical difficulties here. You'll let me know. Now is your time if you have any questions, and I'll read your messages in a second. But now would be a good time to ask if you have anything. Documents, scanned documents. Here is the water lily. Let me just drop out the paper white in Photoshop. Yeah. Okay. So this is the lilies. There we go. And I'm gonna give a few seconds for the other one to dry because it's full of opaque paint. And if I put it on the scanner as it is, it's gonna be a disaster. I'm actually gonna dab some of that paint. I really feel like continuing it some other day, seeing if I can bring it up to completion. But yeah, let me read some of your comments. Let's scan this one and then I'll show you both. I will show you both. Starting to get hungry. A new scan. But yeah. Where were we? In the messages. Basso, this reference has windows that don't seem to have any rhyme or reason, which is quite hard to convey in the painting to reflect the structure. Yeah, but it's true. But that's exactly, Venice. That is Venice for you. Windows that are all over the place. This is why I find it just to be a great painting subject. This is definitely, like, I wasn't expecting to like this one so much, but now I decided this is definitely turning into a full-fledged painting. Either this one or a new, larger version. For sure. You can count on it. Let me bring up the second one in a second. Good. There we go. And 2. So we'll have the 2 finished results here. And just for fun, not this one. The references. Even though, again, not fully complete paintings. Now, did you notice how, if there's any interesting takeaway from here is, did you notice how when I seem to relegate more of the process to the, to kind of my intuition and instinct, the result ends up being a little better. That's how I find it, at least. That's because that's where that's where the fun is to me. The fun is exactly in this unique place, where it's just you and no one can recreate it because it's uniquely you and yourself and how you approach things. That's just kind of my. It's interesting how that works. Raluca, when the next video? There's gonna be just a short. No, it's just a short video, like literally a short, a minute long video on Saturday. But I will do another live stream hopefully next Thursday, same time. That's 9 a.m. Eastern time. And thank you for being here, Raluca. Thank you so much for a beautiful and generous lesson. Thank you so much for being here. Much, much appreciated. Is this the first time I'm seeing you here? I'm not sure. In a live stream, at least, right? Let me know. Hey, Lollipop Strawberry, welcome. I saw you. That lily pad painting is fire, bro. Thank you so much. Marjorie, no wonder you're hungry. It's been almost 2 hours. Yeah. Thank you, Jan. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. I know there was problems with the sound. My apologies. Chris, thank you for letting me know. Escorbet, thank you. Diane, did we read this one? Oh, no. You're such an amazing artist. Thank you. Thank you so much for generously sharing your expertise. It's so enjoyable watching you paint and explaining your thought process along the way. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Buzzo. Oh, the reference has a nice blue rhyme between the sky, windows, and the laundry on the top floor. Yes. Marjorie, my old plein air palette is made from a silicone mini ice cube tray. Oh, that's right. I think you mentioned that. Cells. Cut for paints and bigger areas for. That's an amazing craft in and of itself. I really like how you did it. It has so many colors there. But yeah. In any case, these are the two paintings. I think we're caught up with the chat. So again, any questions? Now's the time. We will wrap it up soon. I think even if you look at these side by side, I think they look pretty good. I would say it's not even done, but I mean, it looks pretty good. I find that, even if the sky needs no, the value is pretty accurate. I wouldn't darken the sky. Yeah, no, I really like the way it turns out. I think when you relegate to instinct, you end up with something more unique sometimes. Whereas if you follow the same predetermined process that's a little tired sometimes, that's a little repetitive like other people paint, quote unquote, you end up with something a little more mechanical. But this is really exactly what I aimed for. So yeah. Thank you, Raluca. Yeah. Oh yeah, I did want to. Did I have something? Yeah, I mentioned I will show you the finished painting. So let me just get rid of everything for a second here. Bye bye Venice. Bye bye scans. And lily. Just for a second. There we go. I just posted this one on Instagram. Really like the way it turned out. Go. Yeah, so feel free to check out Instagram to see the finer details a little closer. A lot of nice ripples and effects down below here. This was very hard to paint, very challenging. Let me bring up a scan of this one on the screen too. So we are in 4. Oh, it's going to be a huge photo. That's the only problem. Okay. After 2 hours, we'll finish resizing it. 80 sketches. How are you? For being here. Sorry, this is a huge scan and file. But in any case, yeah, this is painting I finished today after like 4 days of obsessing over it. I finally got it. And I just decided it's done. It's ready. It's done. Whether it's done or not done, it is done now. That's just what I made up my mind about. I think it looks good. Laura, time for me to head out. Really enjoyed a live stream with you painting, Liron. Seems like it's been a while since you have done one. Have a great rest of the day, everyone. Yeah, thank you so much. It has been a while. I think what I'll do next time, just to not get all the technical issues, I'll just start the live stream on my desk. So I know the audio works, everything will be set up in accordance to that. If there's a problem, we'll solve it in one go. No need to switch scenes. Hopefully that solves it. The issue comes when I disconnect that camera above the table. Sometimes I need to disconnect it. And when I do, sometimes the connection is lost, the audio is lost, some stuff is just lost, and I need to just reselect it, and then it's all good, you know. T, I'm going through an art block period. You're inspiring. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. You know, at the end of the day, these things come and go. You can't really control them. What you can do is just connect with whatever it is that inspires you and go ahead and do that. Sometimes you won't feel inspired, and that's okay. You don't force it, and that's fine, you know. Yeah, this one is on paper. The one you're seeing right here. Paper, normal, just like the ones I've been using throughout today's video. So yeah, quite pleased with that. Okay, so let me share with you the painting in auction right now. Maybe someone will be interested. I still think it's a good opportunity. Now, let me just figure out how I can show it properly. Sorry about that. It's annoying. Should I go with web source? I think there should be like a web page. Browser. Let's see if I can load it this way. Okay. Yeah, that's not gonna work. I don't know why. It has worked before. Okay. 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 Oh, there we go. Okay, we got it. So this is the painting currently in auction. If you want to get it, it's the current price is 50 USD. So the next bid would have to be 60. It's increments of 10. And this is the Alpine Cabin. Beautiful painting, painted alive. Did a few videos on it too. I really, really like it. And I just think it's a pretty painting. So feel free to check it out. It's a good opportunity to get a painting of mine. 9 hours remaining. Feel free to check that out. That's all I wanted to do. Just wanted to share this with you. Let's go back to the chat here for a second. Can we share with you the work for advice and comments? Yeah, feel free to send them over. You can find my email on the channel itself. Look at this hair. You can find the email on my channel. The only thing is, I'm so busy with tons of stuff at every single moment of the day that it may take me a long time to reply. So yeah, know that. If you want to do like one-on-one paid, feel free to email me about that. It's a bit of a different format. And that's something, of course, I can guarantee. But if it's just, you know, emails here and there, yes, it takes me a long time to answer. But hopefully I can. Thank you, T. The blue, what water blue you refer to? Like this one, yeah. This phthalo and ultramarine, just normal 2 blues. Didn't use anything special. Didn't even use that blue I just used for the demo. Actually, just went with a very basic blue. It's more about, I would say, you know, sometimes you see a color and you're like, wow, that looks really pretty. Very often it's about the context in which the color appears. There's nothing really necessarily special about it. It's just that it appears in a context where it looks correct. And it looks good with the rest of the colors. So just know sometimes that's the cause, and there isn't really anything magical about it, so to speak. So you can do this too. Just get the colors to work well in harmony. That's usually the result. It just will look good. Thank you so much. Marjorie, I tend to want more convenience colors when afield. Sorry, not afraid. There's a problem with room to mix. Yeah, that makes sense. That's why I came up with something like my palette and comes out of a tin. Yeah, you know, and I find that sometimes when I just go for it, like I did in the second painting, having just all of the colors there can really help. It's just a fast process, and I find that I can really hit the right colors that way. So yeah, I get it. Yeah, thank you, T. It's not just the values; it's also the colors themselves. Chris, it's refreshing to know you face art challenges too and are honest about it. It encourages all of us to move past our struggles and paint anyway. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. I will say, even the challenging bits are still so fun and rewarding to me that it's all like none of this feels like work. And the fact that I've been doing it for a decade now, I started this art thing in 2013. Is a huge gift. I don't know what else to say. It's amazing to be able to do that. And yeah, so every day it's I'm reminded of that very naturally. So yep. There it is, Joshua. Hey, welcome. Yeah, no worries. A little late, but you'll be able to watch the painting, the processes. You'll be able to watch them at your pace too, which is nice. And usually, and now it really shows the lilies. It should be much darker. See, there, dark, light, the background, the water. I'll go over them probably. It will better frame the entire painting. Which is quite easy actually. I'll start just with a very wet water, and as I move down, I'll start including more. I think of some kind of a green and neutral tint. That will put it right in the accurate color. Maybe blue and neutral tint. We'll see. But yeah, getting a stronger contrast with the lilies at the bottom would be like perfect. Gina, I started this art thing in 1995, still learning daily. Yeah, I get it. Same here. I'm learning daily. I was 5 years old in 95, by the way. Let's see. Gina, oh yeah. Oh, good morning. I missed your show. It is 8 a.m. Just woke up. Yeah, no worries. There will be more. Buck, my history is in oil paintings. I really struggle with loose paintings. I think loose paintings begin in my mind, not so much on paper. Yeah, that makes sense, actually. Yeah. Your examples are like getting permission to try. Perfect. I'm be curious to see if you do give it a try. And thank you for being here. Nancy, I also really like your second painting. Thanks to Ron, great live stream. Thank you so much. Thank you, S. Corbett, as well. Yes, we caught up. Joshua, these lily pads are simple but so realistic. They're amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's not fully realistic. Like once I get the contrast down here to be just right, then it will look more on the realistic side, I think. But it's pretty darn close, I would say. During the process, when the paint is still wet, it looks really, really on point. These reflections too, by the way, I'm gonna go over some sections that need to be darker. Like even that tower, the tiny tower here, you can see should be darker. I got it a little too light. And once I do that, it will just click. Same for the boats, the process that I talked to you about. That's how it works. Marjorie, no wonder I feel like you could be a grandchild. You're same age as mine. I guess you're a grandchild. Yeah. Yep. I feel super young, actually. I sometimes I forget my age. It's getting to the point where it's just the same. I feel like in my 20s, every year was more. We talked about it a couple of days ago. Every year was meaningful, and now in my 30s, I guess it just gets more and more like that. In 40s and 50s, it's just okay. What's the difference between 54, 55? It's all the same. So for me now, 33, right? Yeah, I'm 33. On April, I'm gonna be next April. I will be 44. 34. It's just the same to me. I don't feel a difference. Raluca, sorry, I don't see email address. So let me tell you exactly how to get there. You go to the channel. On the channel, you'll have an About tab. You press the About, Scroll a bit and you'll see details for business inquiries, view email address. It's just Liron at lironian.com. I'm going to write it down in the chat. Ron at lironian.com for all the bots to scrape and send me spam. There we go. With asks for permission come up on the sofa. I don't know why she asks for permission. Yeah. But in case, yeah, I think we will wrap it up soon. Gina, my sons are 33 and 34. Yeah, exactly. That's me. That's exactly me. Thank you, Raluca. Yeah, I think we'll wrap it up. I'll go and eat something. I do want to thank you once again. I'll probably take these 2 painting processes, turn them also in the future into videos without the... We're just the video without the live stream and the chat and all of that, so that people can learn more from the process itself if there's something to be had. I think if anything, and you said it best, who said it? Was it Chris? Not Chris. Buck, was it? Yeah, Buck. That this gives you permission to just try, you know? If you just try, something cool may happen. That's how I see it, at least. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you again. And we'll see you. Saturday's just going to be a short, but next week, more videos. That's pretty much it. Take care. Keep creating, and we'll talk again real soon.